to get her own back. And whenever I see her to this very day, the first thing I do is I punch her in the gut. That's the type of sister she is. She's a tough chick, Charlie, a tough chick. Speaking of how tough she is, even though Lynette was the baby of our family, and I must say she was baby. I mean, ask my dad. You know, he wouldn't let her cut her hair until she was, how old are you now?
4.
Well, maybe it's because your hair took so long to grow. You've noticed in some of these pictures, I mean, there's hardly any of it there. She was bald for a long time. But back to how tough she is. When Lynette started her nursing training, I remember she came home and she told me what she had done that day. And she was at a rest home and she had to take care of an elderly handicapped woman. And she had to do it all. I'm not going to go into the details here because we're a polite company. Some of us anyway. But it was eye-opening what she had to do on her first day of nursing. And to me, it was all about them saying, this is what it means to be a nurse, and if you want to do this, you better stick to it. And Lynette did. I was very proud of her, and I still am, for being so determined to follow her passion. I think the last thing I want to say is that on the same note that Kevin said, I think I really see that Lynette and Charlie's personalities complement each other. I don't think I need to tell you who's the laid-back one. Lynette is a very outgoing woman, and she knows what she wants, and she works together, just like with Charlie. I want to welcome you to our family, Charlie, and give you and ask for God's blessing on you both. Thanks.
One of the things that I mentioned earlier was that Lynette and Charlie had their beginnings a long time ago. They had their beginnings basically shortly after both of them were born. Lynette and Charlie grew up together in a small town of Masquerade, quite far away in the country of Thailand, to missionary parents, which gives them a very, very unique upbringing. It means that there aren't a whole lot of kids around who are the same, and so you tend to gravitate towards each other. And so Lynette and Charlie were best friends. They played with each other, they visited with each other, they fought with each other, our families came together, and nobody ever thought anything of it, that in the future that they might meet again. This was just normal. And then our families separated. My family, Lynette's family, we came back here to Canada, and several years later, Charlie's family moved to Boston, the Boston area. Now, about 3 years ago, about that, I was sitting in my room when I was living in Korea, and I got a message from my dad. And he said, yeah, guess who's coming to visit? Well, I had no idea. It could be anybody. I said, Charlie Beard's coming up to visit. I thought, wait a minute. Charlie Beard is driving thousands of kilometers in the middle of winter to see someone who he hasn't seen in many, many, many years. I wonder what's up with that. And so my first comment was, there's one reason why Charlie's coming up, and one only. He's checking her out. Checking her out to see, you know, possible potential. I don't know. We'll see. And the thing was, and there may be some dispute here, but my entire family disagreed with me. They saw the innocence of it all. That Charlie was just coming up to be a friend, to reconnect and perhaps see, you know, how cool it could get. Now, the family actually said something along the lines of, Kevin, don't embarrass them. Don't say anything. And for those who know me, kind of, that doesn't work. So one of the first comments I had made when I saw Charlie at first on Skype was, I know why you're there. Charlie just had a look of shock on his face. He was like, why? Well, you're there to, check out my sister. And there were denials all around, and everybody disagreed, and I was told that I was seeing far too much into things. 3 months later, I believe it was, Lynette was visiting Charlie in the US, and they were dating. So, I'd like to make, set the record straight, I was right. Now, the video's over, but I'm still going to keep on talking, because you know what? Over the years that Lynette and Charlie have been dating, as the pastor said, much of it was done on Skype. Lynette would come home, she'd wake up after sleeping all day because she works all night, but then she would spend hours every evening just sitting in her bed, visiting with Charlie on Skype. And that's how this relationship grew. There wasn't a whole lot of FaceTime, person to person. And so when Charlie came up here, it was always a really, really special time for Lynette. And when Lynette went down there to visit Charlie, it was a special time for Charlie because they got to spend time together. And now that they're married, I'm so happy for you two. Because now you get to spend the rest of your lives together. And you don't have to visit with each other on Skype. You don't have to make all those long-distance phone calls that racked up your phone bills. And when you need each other, with Lynette, when you're sad, Charlie, when you're sad, you can be there for each other. You don't have to try to hug each other across Skype. It doesn't work very well. And I wish you God's blessing, both of you. And I look forward to many, many years of happy marriage and lots and lots and lots of kids.
I'd like to welcome Mike, the best man, to come on up and say a few words.
Hi, I'm Michael York. I actually met with Charlie over at Grove City College. We spent a couple years as neighbors in the dorms. When Charlie and I were first starting to get to know each other, we really bonded over doing flips over bushes into snowdrifts. And back at this time, you only knew me as, hey, what's your face? But over time, as Charlie and I got to know each other and he learned my name, we started having some really good conversations, kind of centered around our relationship with God and more often about girls. Often we are talking with one another, trying to figure out, how do we find the one that we'll one day marry? And Charlie often would seek for answers from me and from God and pretty much anyone as to what the secret strategy would be. But now that I see Charlie here sitting with Lynette and how happy you guys are, I know that Charlie definitely thinks that the long wait was well worth it. And I don't know if you know this, Charlie, but actually back when we were still in college, Lisa and a lot of her friends would always joke about us. They would always say that they thought I would make a good boyfriend, but that you would make a great husband. So now you have the whole rest of your life to prove to be right to Lynette. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I just wanted to, reiterate, Song of Solomon 7. Song of Solomon 8, and just say that may your love burn like a mighty fire, like a mighty flame that many waters cannot quench and rivers cannot wash away.
Would Lisa, the maid of honor, please?
Hello everyone, I'm Lisa. I suppose I don't have to introduce myself because we already did that. For those of you who don't know, I'm Lynette's best friend, but also her sister. Not really, but we're that close. It all started one day in chemistry when we learned all about bonded silver. And from then on, we became known as the two awesome girls positively charged for Christ, 2 AG positive. It turns out that we had actually a very special bond, and that was prayer. We had made a promise to pray for each other every day, and nothing brings two people closer than praying for each other. It was around that time that I learned about a certain redhead from Thailand that Lynette had fancied all her life. And it turns out that they'd been pen pals since they were 5, since Lynette left Thailand. And with me, I have a wee little snippet of one of the letters that Charlie had written Lynette. This is Dear Lynette, hi, Hi, how are you? I'm fine. Well, actually, I've got a bit of a cold right now and skipped school today because of it. Yes, I do remember the windmill we went to when we were staying with you guys in Canada. I think we slept in your room. Am I right? My Easter break was good, and we went to Edinburgh, Scotland, to Edinburgh in Scotland. We did get big Easter eggs. Do you like cream eggs? I love them. Yeah. Believe it or not, a mini mart near us is doing a buy one get one free. However, I'm not allowed too much chocolate, and I spend most of my money on Star Wars toys, posters and stuff like that. I'm really into Star Wars. What are you into, Charlie? Now, Lynette and I have had many adventures together, like going to a concert in the States and sleeping in our car because we were too cheap to pay for a hotel. But God was always looking out for us. And it was the next night that we were sleeping in someone's house we had met at the concert, who was a mom and couldn't let us sleep in our car because that just wasn't right. So she invited us over to her house. Or going to Ireland and not really having a plan, not really planning where we were going or where we were going to stay. But again, God knew what we needed, and at one point provided us with a free night stay, a paid-for ferry ride to Scotland, a booked and paid-for accommodations in Edinburgh, which at the time Edinburgh was having their Fringe Festival and it was the busiest time in Edinburgh, so we would have not have gotten a hotel. It was in Edinburgh that Lynette proved to herself something that I had already seen in her amazing determination and her inner strength. We locked ourselves out of our hotel room, and Lynette proceeded to climb the drain pipe up the side of the building, where it was this thin, and go into the window to unlock the hotel room. It was then that she saw in herself what I saw in her, a beautiful, adventurous, high-spirited, and fearless woman of God. Charlie, I have been praying for you and for this day for 9 years, and I'm very honored to be a part of your day. Now I just have a little advice. Go with Lynette's adventurous spirit. It will take you into some wild and wonderful places. Make sure that you take time to work, to think, to play, to read, to worship together, to help and enjoy friends, to love, to dream, to laugh, and to plan. But most of all, take time to pray together. So, I don't have my glass. Can someone borrow my glass? We're going to So let's all take our glasses and do a toast, and raise our glasses for a toast to the bride and groom. To Lynette and Charlie, I love you guys and pray God's richest blessing when you do life together. To the bride and groom.
As many of you know, both Charlie and Lynette's families have many people spread abroad, and I have a poem that was written by Roy Darragh on behalf of Roy and Catherine and Emma and John, Charlie's relatives in Northern Ireland. So I'm just going to read that out now. Charlie, Lynette, what can I say? We just couldn't make your wedding day. Canada's too far for Catherine and me. You should have got married in Donegal. But our best wishes are with you both as you take your vows and make your oath. Sorry we're missing the dance and cake and the tears running down my sister's bake. So enjoy the day and your life as one, and never forget, it's supposed to be fun. And when you do have the odd fight, remember your place. Lynette's always right.